Can I first of all welcome everyone here today. It's always a good feeling to be amongst fellow Republicans and fellow comrades and fellow party members. This year has been a year of commemoration and remembrance for Republicans. The 100th anniversary of the Easter Rising and the 35th anniversary of the 81 hunger strikes. And with each passing year since those milestones in Irish history, it is important for us as Republicans to not only commemorate our Patriot Day, but to rededicate ourselves to the vision to which they gave their lives. And Ireland, as proclaimed on the steps of the GPO, which was the Easter Proclamation, is a republic that guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and it declares the resolve to pursue happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and of all its parts, cherishing all of the children of the nation equally, oblivious to the differences carefully fostered by an alien government which has divided a minority from the majority in the past. And that, comrades, remains the objective of those of us gathered here today. We have moved from a time of conflict and the denial of basic human rights to a time of somewhat improved conditions. And things have improved, and we will acknowledge that, but we still have a very long way to go. We still have social, cultural and economic equality or inequality on both sides of the border. It is hard to believe that it's been 35 years since our comrades in the Lancash gave their lives for our struggle. And they followed in the footsteps of previous generations who died on hunger strike. Republican forefathers such as Thomas Ashe and Terence McSweeney and Joe Murphy. And all of these men gave their lives so that we could stand here today, free of persecution due to our cultural and our nationalism and our desire for national self-determination. And there are many similarities to the hunger strikes of 20 and 23 and to the hunger strikes of the Lancash and Armagh jail in 80 and 81. In the autumn of 1920, during the Pan War, the British government had withdrawn political status, which had been won after the death of Thomas Ashe in 1917, and after a 2-week mass hunger strike in Mountjoy jail in April of 1920. On the 11th of August, a mass strike was once again initiated, this time in Cork jail, with 60 IRA volunteers, most of whom were held without charge or trial, demanded reinstatement of political status and their release. The British, having hardened their attitude against status following the April hunger strikes, ignored them rather than making concessions. However, in the weeks that followed, the British released or transferred many of those 60 volunteers until only 11 were left. 3 of these were Terence McSweeney, who joined the strike on the 12th of August, the day after it had begun, Michael Fitzgerald and Joe Murphy. On the 16th of August, 3 days after he'd begun his strike, McSweeney was sentenced to 2 years in prison. But he said his hunger strike would continue, and that very same night he was deported to Brixton. Following McSweeney's death, the hunger strike in Cork jail continued for a further 3 weeks, until a request by Arthur Griffin, the President of the Irish Republic, that the remaining 9 prisoners on hunger strike ended their fast on the 12th of November 1920. 3 men had died on hunger strike in the intervening period. Michael Fitzgerald on the 17th of October after 67 days. Joe Murphy on the 25th of October after 76 days, and who was buried in the Republican plot in St. Finbarrs. And Terence McSweeney, Sinn Féin Ard Mhaoirse, and Brigade Commandant 1st Cork Brigade Irish Republican Army, who died at 20 to 6 in the morning in Brixton Prison within hours of Murphy's death after 74 days. The death of Terence McSweeney reverberated around the world and showed the true nature of British colonialism for what it was, and it never fully recovered. The death of Bobby Sands on the 5th of May, after 66 days in hunger strike, had a similar effect. And it is seen by many as the beginning of the political struggle that has ultimately led to the position we find ourselves in today. Top tier Oireachtas members, 5 MPs, hundreds of councillors, and over 12,000 active members of the party. And we are all on our way to achieving the republic that men like McSweeney and Sands gave their lives for. The 70s in particular were turbulent years. It was a time when the Republican movement was not only engaged in armed conflict with the might of the British Empire, but it was an empire which was aided and abetted by the Free State, who betrayed the values of Irish republicanism. Republicans were being murdered by British-sponsored death squads, subjected to torture and internment. Many Republicans ended up in prison, where they were once again faced with a British government who tried to criminalise them by refusing to recognise their political status. And all the while Republicans who continued to struggle on the outside, on both sides of the border, were subject to intense surveillance, harassment and intimidation. They were faced with a system which was designed to break the resolve of those engaged in armed struggle, and by extension, a system designed to defeat the Republican movement. And just as in the 1920s, when the British failed to defeat the desire for national self-determination, today we stand here in defiance of that very same system which was set up to try and defeat us as Irish Republicans. Comrades, we stand here unbowed and unbroken. We stand here in celebration of all those who went before us, particularly those who lost their lives in 1981. Volunteer Bobby Sands, aged 27. Volunteer Francis Hughes, aged 25. Volunteer Raymond McCreesh, aged 24. Volunteer Patsy O'Hara, aged 23. Volunteer Joe MacDonald, aged 29. Volunteer Martin Hossin, aged 24. Volunteer Kevin Lynch, aged 25. Volunteer Kieran Doherty, aged 25. Volunteer Thomas McElwee, aged 23. And finally, volunteer Mickey Devine, aged 27. I'm sure many of you will agree with me when I say that we have seen and we welcome the progress Republicans have made down through the years. And there is no doubt that the hunger strikes of 1981 played a pivotal role in the development of our struggle and has set Sinn Féin and the IRA towards a different means of conflict, a political conflict and a political struggle. The Irish people accepted volunteer Bobby Sands and volunteer Kieran Doherty, amongst others, as their political representatives, and they elected them to represent the will of the Irish people in defiance of the border. These men were elected by communities who desired to send an important message to the partitionists of that time. And just as we are gathered here today, we send the very same message to the partitionists of today, people like Micheál Martin and Fianna Fáil. And we say we have had enough, we will not take any more, and we will endure. The unyielding and ultimate sacrifice of our volunteers show the British government and Irish partitionists that the Republican movement would not waver in our resolve to end social inequality across this island, and to end British occupation within the 6 counties. And I would say it's not that they began to listen to us. That was never the case. But rather they realised that they could no longer keep us down as a people. Our opponents tried to defeat our struggle by breaking the will of the hunger strikers. But even in the wake of these deaths, those within the Republican movement did not falter. We did not flinch. We did not give in to the campaigns of intimidation, abuse and violence that we faced at the hands of the Free State or the IUC. We grew stronger. We showed them that we had a resilience that they would never, ever break. And the martyrdom of those volunteers also showed the Irish people that there was a political way forward, and they are beginning to accept that. It began to give us hope that we could bring an end to the armed conflict and achieve our goals through peaceful and political means. And undoubtedly, I would not be standing here today as a Teachta Dála for Sinn Féin in a constituency where in 1981 people came out in huge numbers to support volunteer Mairead Farrell, who was herself in prison at that time. And comrades, even today, 100 years on from the Easter Rising and 35 years on from the hunger strikes, we must hold firm in our views, in our beliefs, and in our faith. We were all once inspired by the sacrifice of those volunteers, so let us continue to be inspired. Since the establishment of the Free State, the partitionist Dublin government have tried to break us and bloody us. And at times it can be difficult for us to stay inspired and motivated, especially in those bleak times of austerity which we have had to endure in recent years. But let us always remember the foundation of republicanism: equality, fraternity and justice for all. Let us recall this foundation of equality every time we cast our vote in a ballot box. Let us recall this foundation of equality every time we attend a commemoration of our patriot dead. And let us recall this foundation of equality each and every day when we go to work, when we go to GA clubs, when we socialise, and let us never forget those sacrifices. Since Mairead quoted Terence McSweeney, I'm going to quote volunteer Bobby Sands in conclusion. Volunteer Bobby Sands said, "If they are not able to destroy the desire for freedom, they won't break you. They won't break me because the desire for freedom and the freedom of the Irish people is in my heart. The day will dawn when all of the people of Ireland will have the desire for freedom to show. Comrades, that day is upon us." Thank you.